Watch two people hit a real disagreement across a table. With almost everyone, something in the room drops half a degree in the same instant. A stiffening. A flatness that wasn't in the air a second before. You felt it from the inside. You said the words, "I actually don't agree," and before the other person had even answered, the air between you had already gone thin and careful. Then, some other day you watched a different person say the harder thing, and nothing dropped. Same disagreement. The room stayed exactly as warm as it had been a breath before.
No spain stiffened.
No voice went careful. And 30 seconds later the two of them were laughing. You keep wanting to file that under confidence. It isn't confidence. So tonight we lay that on the table and cut it open. Why a disagreement almost always goes cold, and what these people quietly refuse to let drop alongside it. By the end you'll be able to sit inside a disagreement, hold your own ground, and keep the room warm at once, and read the version of this that's being run on you. Let's begin. First, the mechanism. Set the words of the argument aside for a moment. When a disagreement turns awkward, what is the awkward thing actually made of? Put a thermometer on the table between two people the instant one of them disagrees. Then watch the column, not the mouths. In most disagreements it sinks. Not because of the sentence. Because of everything that rode into the room alongside the sentence. The jaw that tightened. The nod that stopped. The half-second where a person drew their warmth back in to check whether it was still safe to keep giving it to you. That drawing back is the cold. Your body clocks it long before it has parsed a single word of the argument. A face that was open a moment ago has quietly half shut. And your nervous system files that drop under the oldest heading it owns. Not, "You think I'm wrong." Something far older than that. We are no longer on the same side. That's the whole of the awkwardness, taken apart on the table. It was never, "You disagree with me." It was, "You've just stepped back from me, and I don't yet know how far you're going to go." First finding. You are not actually afraid of being disagreed with. You're afraid of the coldness that almost always comes bundled in with it. Somewhere early, the two arrived together. Someone who loved you disagreed with you and went cold in the very same breath, again and again, until in your wiring they fused into one strand. So now, the moment anyone reaches for a disagreement, you brace for the cold before it has even arrived. And half the time, bracing, you are the one who supplies it. Second cut. So what do the smooth ones do that the rest of us don't? Watch where the blade actually goes. Most people, disagreeing, point it straight at you. You're wrong. The idea and the person holding it are one single target, and the cut lands on both at once. The smooth one does something almost sleight of hand. They take the idea out of your hands and set it down on the table as its own object. A third thing between you that you can both now turn and look at. Then they shift, so the two of you are shoulder to shoulder over the thing instead of face to face across it. Now the blade goes into the idea. It never once goes into you. "Let's look at this," they say. Not, "You don't get it." The disagreement stops being a duel and becomes two people leaning over the same specimen under the same lamp. And an object on the table can be cut, flipped, argued with as hard as you like. Because nobody has confused it with the person who carried it into the room. You can hear the switch happen in the pronouns. The awkward version keeps saying you. The smooth version says it or this or the idea. The person quietly lifted out of the line of fire. Second finding. They didn't win against you. They moved the whole fight off your body and onto the table, where a fight is finally allowed to happen without anyone bleeding for it. Third cut. Now the part that does the real work. Go back to that thermometer and ask the harder question. Why did theirs never drop? Most people run warmth and disagreement on the same switch. Flip one on and the other cuts out. To say the hard thing, they go cold, and they think that's simply the cost of it. The smooth one has split them onto two switches. They hold the warmth wire fully live while the disagreement runs. Nod still there, voice still soft, eyes still on you, and they say the hard thing straight through it. So the words land, but the temperature never tells your body to brace. The argument comes in riding a wire that stayed warm the entire way down. And almost always they hand you something real first. A genuine point of yours, picked up and granted out loud, before the blade ever comes out. That concession isn't a softener bolted on top. It's proof they actually heard you, and a heard person has nothing to brace against. You lower the shield because the shield has nothing left to do. Watch how they disagree with the concession still warm in the air. You're completely right that, and here is exactly where I come off it. The yes is real and it holds the warmth open for the no to walk through. None of this is loud. There is no performance of niceness laid over the top of it. The warmth is simply never switched off to make room for the truth. Third finding. They aren't braver about conflict than you are. They've simply wired warmth and disagreement to two separate switches, where you were only ever given the one. Fourth cut, and it's the quietest one on the table. The smooth ones almost never force a verdict. Most disagreements go cold because someone is trying to make the other person lose. To march the argument to a point where one of you has to say the words, "Fine, you're right." And a cornered person will burn the whole room down before they say those words. The cold was never the disagreement. It was the exit quietly being closed behind you. The smooth one leaves the door standing open the entire time. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Could genuinely go either way. Two readings allowed to sit side by side on the table at once. Unresolved. They aren't being wishy-washy. They're refusing to make you defend a wall because the moment you're defending a wall, you can no longer actually hear a single word they're saying. So you get to change your mind without it costing you anything. No surrender, no scoreboard, nobody watching you lose. And people will move a very long way when the moving is free. Fourth finding. They don't win the disagreement. They dissolve the very thing that was making it a win or lose in the first place. 4 cuts, 1 instruction underneath every one of them. Take the person's safety off the table, so the only thing left lying on it is the idea. Now the uncomfortable part. Flip the specimen over. Every one of those 4 moves can be run with not a shred of good faith underneath it. Held warmth is a lever. If your body won't brace while the temperature stays up, then a temperature held up on purpose can walk a disagreement straight past your guard. They grant your point, keep the wire warm, leave the door open, and while you're relaxed and unshielded, they move you 6 inches off the position you walked in holding. You feel collaborative. You've been steered. This is the velvet version, and it is genuinely everywhere. In the room you're selling to, the one you're negotiating in, the soft, warm, reasonable disagreement that somehow always ends on their number. So here's the tell, and it is a clean one. Real ease survives your refusal to move. Hold your ground, actually hold it, and watch the thermometer. The genuine article stays warm while you stay put. They can disagree with you, fail to move you, and still be glad to be sitting there. The temperature never punishes you for holding. The lever gives itself away right here. The instant you don't concede, the warmth cuts out. The smile flattens, the voice cools, the temperature drops the moment it stops being paid for. That drop is the whole diagnosis. Real warmth was never conditional on your agreement. Rented warmth was only ever the price of a concession you had not yet made. Now the ethics said plainly and out loud. This is a map for reading whether someone is genuinely fine with you disagreeing, or only performing ease to move you off your spot. It is not a script for faking warmth to win arguments. If you take the held warmth and aim it, staying soft on purpose to slide people off their ground, you have just become the lever this whole table was built to help you see. Take the reading, never take the trick. Last cut. What do you actually do with this in a real room next week on both sides of the table? First, receiving. When a disagreement makes the room go cold on you, run the check before you run. Ask what actually dropped. The point they made or only the temperature that came in with it. Most of the time you'll find the point itself was survivable, and it was only the cold that scared you, and half of that cold was yours. You flinched first and called it their coldness. Second, giving. Don't reach for the smooth moves as a costume. If you grant a point you don't believe to keep a face warm you don't feel, you're running the lever, and the person across from you can read a thermometer too. Do the one real thing that sits underneath all 4 moves instead. When you disagree, don't withdraw. Keep the warmth wire live and let the hard sentence travel down it. Not as a technique, but because you actually still like the person. And leave them their exit. Say the maybe. Grant the real point. Take their safety off the table, so the only thing left on it is the idea, which was the only thing you ever disagreed with anyway. Do that, and you'll notice the awkwardness had almost nothing to do with the disagreement. It was always just the cold you had learned to smuggle in beside it. Then the part about you, because you already own this instrument. You go cold too. Someone disagrees with you, and before you have even decided they're wrong, you have pulled the warmth back to check whether they're still safe. You have made rooms go awkward, not because you meant to punish anyone, because for you, too, the disagreement and the cold were fused into one wire nobody ever taught you to cut. So the smooth ones were never a different species. They just found the 2 switches you've been hunting for this whole time, and learned to keep the warm one up while the true one fires. That's tonight's finding. Awkwardness in a disagreement was never a measure of how far apart the 2 ideas were. It was a measure of how much warmth got yanked out of the room to make space for one of them. And the reason it lands on you every single time is that a drop temperature still reads, in your oldest wiring, as being left. You never actually feared the other idea. You feared the door closing behind it. So the next time it goes cold, you'll know which thing to reach for. Not the argument. The thermostat. Same table next week.